Hello and welcome to another Tri-tutors video. In today's video, we're going to be analysing the poem Namaqualand After Rain by William Plomer. So a bit about our poet. He was born in 1903 and he died in 1973. He's a South African British writer and he is classified as a modernist poet. Let's get into the poem. The title, Namaqualand After Rain. Namaqualand is a place in South Africa. It is a desert area that does not get a lot of rain. If we think about the symbolism of rain, rain is a symbol of rebirth, renewal, revival. And so in a desert place like this, there would be, not a lot of chance for rain to occur. There wouldn't be a lot of rain. So when there is rain, it's almost seen as a blessing and it can completely transform the landscape, as we're going to see. So while we did say that the poet is more of a modernist poet, I want you to think of this poem in the same way you'd approach a romantic poem, in the sense of praising nature. So we're going to see a lot of imagery about nature, and the speaker is almost in awe of nature throughout the poem. And so keep that imagery or that understanding of the romantic poetry movement in your head in terms of finding meaning in nature. Again, the veld revives, imbued with lyric rains, and sappery sweetening dry stalks perfumes the quickening plains. So in our first stanza, we start off with again. This shows that this has happened before, this rain cycle. This indicates the theme of the cycle of nature. Every season, there's this period of drought, and then the rain comes and completely revives everything. Veld, well, Namaqualand in the title hinted, obviously, this is South Africa, and veld is the Afrikaans word for like grass or a field. So it confirms to us that this is a place in South Africa. Revives means it regains life. It has a new sort of beginning, a new life. Imbued with lyric rains. Imbued has this connotation of being full of. Lyric rains, we have this musical quality. And if you think about music, music brings joy, just like the rain brings along this joyful mood. And sap re-sweetening dry stalks. So the sap is like the liquid that you see from a tree, and it re-sweetens the dry stalk, it revives them. Notice all the prefix re the whole time. It's almost like it returns life to this landscape. The dry stalks, so it is nourishing the plants. Just for a second, go back to imbued. The sense of like how the rain is imbuing or is showing this fullness, this image of fullness, really emphasizes the power of the rain. Perfumes the quickening plains. So perfumes, their sense of smell, this sweet and wonderful smell or scent. Remember, when poets use different senses, it really allows the imagery to come alive and allows the reader to deeper understand the image that they are trying to relate. Dry stalks, this indicates the sense of drought that has happened before this rain came. The quickening plains, quickening can refer to the grass is growing quicker now because of the rain. It's becoming more lush. So as the rain comes, there's this direct impact and the plains start growing and growing. Plains is referred to the veld, these long stretches of grass which are common in the South African landscape. Small roots explode in strings of stars. Each bulb gives up its dream. Honey drips from the orchid throats. Jewels each receive. So in this stanza, I've circled 3 words which all link together: roots, bulb, and throats. These are all the different parts of the flowers that are flourishing, that are being enriched by the rain. So small, they begin small during the drought, and now with the rain that comes along, they become big. These roots explode. The connotations of explode emphasize how quickly these roots are growing. In strings of stars, strings is like never-ending, this never-ending line of stars. So it's almost like these roots just keep on exploding and flourishing to life. The metaphor of stars and the imagery of stars, you think of something that's glowing, that's beautiful, that's precious, and it can show us how it can also, if you think of like the silverness of the silvery nature of stars, it's almost like this glistening quality. So you can think about the roots exploding in a string of stars, and you can always see the condensation on the roots as these plants grow and flourish. Each, the use of the singular here emphasizes every single bulb. So the speaker is not just noting the general pattern, he's actually seeing every little piece of the puzzle that's coming together. Gives up its dream. So that's a bit strange if we think about this as really quite positive, and gives up its dream sounds a bit negative. But actually what it means is, or how you can interpret it, is it's almost like each bulb is awakening from its slumber and it's now going to achieve its potential. Sorry, just going back to the previous line, the string of stars, that alliteration, that sibilant sound, emphasizes how quickly and beautifully the roots grow. Honey, if you think of the connotations of honey, honey is precious, it is sweet, it has positive connotations, it drips. If it's dripping, it means there's so much of it. So there's so much of this preciousness and sweetness and beauty within nature that is dripping from orchid throats. There we have the imagery of these beautiful flowers. Jewels. What are the connotations of jewels? Precious, special, expensive. Each raceme. Raceme is a cluster of flowers. So we went from the each, the singular, to the plural here, of this cluster of flowers. So each of these bulbs is now blossoming, and they're joined together to create this absolutely beautiful, flourishing environment. The desert sighs at dawn, as in another hemisphere, the temple lotus breaks her buds on the attentive air. And so here we're going to have a little bit of a shift, because we've been speaking about the beauty and the rebirth. And now we're going to shift to the desert, and reminding us that this is a desert and what the desert almost has to say about this. The desert sighs at dawn, so that's Namaqualand, sighs. This is clearly personification. At dawn, dawn is a symbol of like early morning and awakening. So the personification shows us that the landscape is alive and it's breathing the sort of sigh of relief at the appearance of the rain. As in another hemisphere, this can be speaking obviously about perhaps the northern hemisphere, which is opposite seasons, or it could be talking about that the desert has had this complete 180-degree shift. It's this complete hemisphere shift in the sense that it was all arid and barren, and now it's just so full of all these flowers, and the rain has just completely revived the landscape. So it's been a complete shift, another hemisphere. The temple lotus breaks her buds. So temple has connotations of like a sanctuary, of something holy, of peace, of spirituality. And so this religious imagery, or this religious allusion, reinforces the peace the speaker finds within nature and the praising nature of the poem. Lotus is a type of flower, breaks her buds. So it's flourishing. Notice the alliteration. It emphasizes how the flower bursts open excitedly on the attentive air. If someone is attentive, they're like really listening. So it shows the sense of excitement. They're looking for the flowers to bloom. Notice the dashes indicating sort of explanation or further elaborations. And this last dash to me is like waiting there on the end of the line, waiting for more flowers to bloom, this attentive air. Also notice the alliteration in that line. A frou-frou of new flowers, puff of unruffling petals, while rods of sunlight strike pure streams from rocks beveined with metals. So more beautiful imagery coming across in this stanza. A frou-frou means like frills or ruffles of new flowers. Notice the alliteration in these first two lines of that F sound. It really adds this musical quality and emphasizes the sense of abundance, because there's a puff on unruffling petals. If you think of like unruffle, you think of like the ruffles of a dress. It's a really full dress. And so this shows the abundance of beauty in this natural environment. It's the imagery of these blooming flowers, these petals. While rods of sunlight strike pure streams, so rods meaning rays of light, the rays of sunlight, strike is a really powerful image showing how much of an impact the sunlight can truly make on the natural environment. Pure streams, small rivers, is a really sort of beautiful, romantic image. The sibilance here, the sound device, really adds this sort of musical quality again to the poem. From rocks beveined with metals. So rocks, not the best not the most positive imagery, but here it's showing us that they're beveined. So beveined meaning filled with, but the use of the word vein, you think of something that's like life-giving, right? It has that really like that connotation of giving life to something, like our veins, that's where our blood flows, that's how we have life. And so these rocks are filled with life. And what are they filled with? Metals, with precious metals. So it's just showing the sense of like opportunity, and the sense of that nature is very abundant with all this beauty. And it's a complete shift from the sort of usual arid nature of the desert, the barren emptiness. There's so much potential here. Far in the gaunt Karoo, that winter earth denotes, ironstone caves give back the burr of lambs in multitudes. So now we have a contrast from the previous stanza, because now we're going back to how it was before the rain came. So far away, or far back in the past, the gaunt means it's something is lacking, it's haggard, it's grim. The Karoo is this biome in South Africa which is very dry, there's not a lot of rain. That winter earth denotes, so winter obviously has the connotation of being barren and empty and stripping away life. And so during the winter time, this Karoo, this desert, is stripped away. Denudes means strips or takes away. Ironstone caves give back the burr. If you think of the imagery of an ironstone cave, there's no warmth there. It's an unwelcoming and cold image. So this stanza really provides us this vivid image of the coldness of winter. Gives back the burr, the alliteration there of the B sound, emphasizes how you would like shiver from the cold. It's like, and burr is this almost like a ringing sound. You make the sound when you're cold. Of lambs in multitudes. So if you ever visit the Karoo, then you'll know that there are a lot of sheep, there are a lot of lambs in the Karoo, because they're one of the only animals who can actually live in such arid conditions. But also the use of lambs, being obviously young sheep, is the birth of lambs can be a symbol of hope or the coming rain, and that there's going to be some sort of rebirth. It's almost like a foreshadowing that the rain is coming and that there is going to be the sense of revival and rebirth. Grass waves again where drought bleached every upland kraal. A peach tree shoots along the wind, pink volleys through a broken wall. So grass waves, so you can think of this in terms of personification, that the grass is waving and somewhat like a greeting, or you can think of the connotation of water, right? The water has allowed the grass to grow, and so now it's like sort of growing up all in these waves. The grass is everywhere. Once again, so it's like saying it's replaced the drought. Where drought bleached, so it's replaced where the drought bleached. If you think about bleached, it has really negative connotations, taking something away. The drought took away the grass and flowers, but now the grass has replaced the drought. So where there once was drought, now the grass is in full bloom after the rain. Every upland kraal, so every shows this is all over this landscape, all over Namaqualand. Upland kraal is the South African word for a village. A peach tree shoots along the wind. So a peach tree obviously is something, showing promise or showing opportunity and fruit and abundance. Shoots along the wind. It's like this strong wind that takes it away, or moves it from place to place. Pink volleys through a broken wall. So shoots and volleys are both this sort of image of flying. It's almost the sense of the entire landscape has just been taken up by this rain, and it's just completely transformative. Through, this can indicate like sort of the destructive nature of nature or of a storm or of rain, that it picks things up and just carries them along in the wind. So through a broken wall can indicate a little bit of that violence or the power of nature. The enjambment in these lines can emphasize how the drought kept going, but also how the rain keeps affecting everything. It's almost like this domino effect of the rain just keeps causing all these different reactions to occur. And willows growing round the dam may now be seen, with all their traceries of twigs just hesitating to be green. And so in this stanza, we see the trees getting ready to bloom. They've now been enriched by the rain, and now they are just about to become green, just about to show off to the rest of the environment. So trees, or willows, are trees, and they're growing around the dam. So that's just giving us context as to where they are. The enjambment in this stanza can show the excitement of the speaker as he recognizes the transformation of nature in all these different aspects. Traceries of twigs, we can see the alliteration there. It's almost like the speaker is following the progress of these trees, just hesitating to be green. They're about to embody their new appearance. They are almost there. And if you think about like sort of the beauty of nature, and all these different things blooming, it's wonderful, but also you want a sense of like opportunity and something to come. And so these willow trees are like that symbol of what's to come, that the rain is going to even be more powerful and bring about in a slower way the beauty of these trees. Soon to be hung with colonies, all swaying with the leaves of pendant wicker love nests, the pretty loxia weaves. So this stanza also goes on that sense of anticipation and tension of this is not just what the beauty that the speaker has described is not the only thing. There's going to be more. The rain is going to have even more of a positive effect, because soon these trees are going to be filled with colonies. The trees are getting ready to be the homes for the birds who will arrive in the spring and the summertime. All swaying with the leaves, that movement, that sort of melody of nature is coming through. Of pendant wicker love nests, so the nests obviously symbolic of birds and love, it's also just emphasizing the sort of beautiful imagery. The pretty loxia weaves, so pretty obviously has positive connotations. Loxia is a type of bird, and weaves, and think about weaves as not just like the nest arrives, it's showing us that the loxia takes care when crafting its nest. So it's really, this stanza just fills us with a sense of hope. It's filled with that nature is filled with life and song, and that there's a sense of expectation that it's going to continue to transform in this positive way. The structure of the poem, or the form, we have 8 stanzas of 4 lines each, and they follow the rhyme scheme of A, B, C, B, D, E, F, E. This really creates this lyrical melody, which emphasizes the intention of the poem, which is to praise nature and the speaker being in awe of nature. There's lots of imagery in this poem to note. The tone and the mood is a sense of admiration, contemplation. It's a joyous tone. It's uplifting. It's praising. The theme or message of the poem is, being in awe of nature, the beauty of nature, the rebirth, the sense of rebirth and revival, the cycle of nature. And if you want to think of it figuratively, it could be how harsh conditions will always end in a time of beauty and wonder. That harshness will end, and there will be this time of beauty and hope and optimism. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found that video helpful. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.